of Truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ, or Iglesianicristo.
Radio Florida. I'm one of your hosts this morning, Brother Robert Tapalas, and as you'll notice, I'm not in the studio today because I'm actually here out in the field for a very special activity that we're going to be conducting here in Treasure Island, Florida. Now, for those of you that may not be familiar, Treasure Island, Florida is a city on the west coast of Pinellas County, which is a part of St. Petersburg, and it's one of the communities that was most hard hit, both by Hurricane Helene as it passed by, and also Hurricane Milton, which of course, as we know, came just a few days afterwards. So this community is still reeling. There are tremendous recovery efforts that are still going on. And as you can see behind me, we're here at the Treasure Island Community Center, where the devastation is just very apparent. You can see that there's a lot of just debris that's been picked up from all of the damage that's been that happened. That's all been collected here at the community center, and members of the Church of Christ here in the District of Florida have gathered together for a Care for Humanity effort to try and help in the recovery efforts for this community. Behind us, you can see that we've staged booths. We've got a number of trucks here that are going to be delivering a large amount of relief to this community in the form of care packages. They're going to be doing that distribution here in just a few minutes. They're just now starting to unload everything, but we'll expect that once all of that gets started, that we'll try to get some interviews from some of our local folks that are here, as well as some of the district staff officers that were involved. So we're going to be going to that here in a second, but before we continue with that report, I'd like to go ahead and toss it over to Sister Joy, who's going to give us some of our greetings to our viewers this morning. Good morning, Sister Joy.
Good morning, Brother Robert, and it's such a delight to see all of you on. And as all of you know, we're in Florida, right? And despite the challenges of this recovery and the devastation that was at one point, like Brother Robert mentioned, this was a Category 5 hurricane, right? And despite the recovery efforts and despite all this, our youth members here in the District of Florida, in the Church of Christ, we know where to find strength to rebuild and to continue to prepare for their future. This is something that's very important and very valuable to all of us, and that was uniting together, and we supported one another. How did we do that? We went and placed our trust in our Almighty God, and we did that by participating in, I don't know if you all can hear me. We participated in an INC Unity Camp. This was sponsored by our TBI, our Christian Brotherhood International. So we're going to be diving into that. You can see all the activity that is going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can see behind me now, we've just now begun unloading one of the trucks that's here to help this community that was devastated by the recent hurricanes. These relief packages are going to be going to local community residents and others that are in need, and they're unloading it right now and going to be staging it here in front of the Treasure Island Community Center. And as we start to get more and more through here, we'll be giving you another live report. But we want to go ahead and touch on, of course, the topic for today, which is uniting after the storm. And certainly these efforts that you're watching behind me are part of that unity that we were talking about. But more importantly, also the faith of our students, our youth, which is what we wanted to highlight today, because as Sister Joy mentioned, immediately after the storm, there were concerns, obviously, about damage, debris, roads being inaccessible, and more importantly, the lack of gasoline was a real threat to many people who needed to be able to travel. And one of the biggest concerns that they had was in holding an activity, where is it that they're going to be able to find that gasoline? Well, the students that were here in the District of Florida all united together despite the concern of that, and still all commuted to Orlando to be able to participate in this activity. So before we start asking questions of some of the participants, I'd like to toss it over to you, Sister Joy, and Sister Cass. Sister Cass, if you don't mind, giving us just a very brief synopsis of what the Unity Camp, INC Unity Camp is all about.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and thank you for once again having me on this show. So the Students Unity Camp, the District of Florida has actually just started establishing the CBI, or Christian Brotherhood International, which is geared towards the students of the church. There's two different levels. There's a junior CBI for those who are in high school, and then a CBI for those who are in college of all different degrees. And so this was really our first kickoff activity that was held district wide in one venue. So the Unity Camp, it was full of various booths. It had entertainment, it had food, it had team building games. And this event was really to get all the students together, as the title includes, to be united with one another, so that they were able to get to know who their fellow students are, to also build that fellowship with one another, the camaraderie. They're all under the same stresses of this life, going through school. And so when you have people that you know firsthand who are also going through the same battles as you, it makes it a little bit easier. And so we really wanted to be able to have an activity where the students were able to get together. I've heard through many different people, they've actually met some new people through that activity that they hope to stay in touch with. And so that was the purpose of the Unity Camp. I would say hit it out of the ballpark. We really were able to unite the students in the District of Florida through this activity.
Sister Cass, I think these activities not only united the students, but all of the CFO that participated. This includes, the parents, part of the booklet organization, right? The Kadiwas, the Benhi, even our CWS members that were there. These, especially after such a devastating, natural, this weather that kind of, you would think that would really dampen us. We really were able to come together, and it was just such a beautiful thing to see all our district come together and unite in this. I know that with us today, we have some of our panelists who were also part of not only planning this activity, but were also present there. We have, I would like all of you guys, yes, please, if Koyatek, if you could put us in grid mode, that would be delightful, because we could see all the beautiful faces that are with us today. We have Brother Tristan, who all of you know, is also with us. Sister Kat Tapalis, Sister Cherise, I know that you can help us here, but please, let's start off this way. Let's go to you, Brother Tristan. Tell us about planning this activity, despite the fact that we had this type of weather. Give us a little insight on your experience when it came to, kind of balancing the storm. You have to prepare that the storm is coming, but at the same time, we have this activity to look forward to. So tell us a little bit about that in your perspective.
Right. Good morning, everyone. Planning this activity was definitely an experience, especially with the circumstances of the storm coming in. And so a lot of us, that week before any activity, really, we conduct our devotional prayers to ask our Almighty God for His help and His guidance. So what made those prayers even more special was actually praying for everyone's safety and for their preparation for that storm too. So having those devotional prayers that week before really put everyone in the right mindset, I would say, to not only, pray for this activity that we knew was coming right after the storm, but also with the circumstance that was coming, praying for everyone's safety and well-being too. So having both of those at the same time really, played its own factor. And I think it's really through those prayers that this activity was able to be so great on that actual day.
Did any of y'all get goosebumps when you said that we had the devotional prayers? That just gave me goosebumps. And that's something that we do as members of the church, right? Before any activity, before looking forward to anything, we turn and we place our trust in our Almighty God. And that right there was just, that gave me these, I felt that all over. And I know that all of you guys did too. So that's just wonderful to remember that during during times like this, that's exactly who we put our hope and trust in. So very good to know. Sister Kat, thank you for joining us today. Tell us a little bit too about planning this, and especially, you with Brother Tristan, you guys are in that same area. Give us a little bit of perspective. I know when it came to not just planning this activity, where were you during the hurricane? And because this is right before, right? Where were you, and did you have to evacuate, considering you were kind of in the path, right, of the hurricane?
Yes, so also good morning. So thankfully for the area that my family and I live in, we're more up north, so we didn't have to evacuate, but we were hosting some families in our homes throughout the hurricane, just so that everyone can be safe. And so yeah, with the planning, thankfully we also didn't lose power, so I was the one like helping um the fellow officers who were planning the activity, like with just communication and being able to attend the devos. And it was just, we thank God that like everything was okay and that everyone was okay throughout the whole entire planning. And we just planned the activity like how we normally would, like despite the hurricane and despite people losing power, we were still able to normally go through our normal planning stages. So we were able to still like plan out like who would work with what booths, who would work with what activity. So like despite everything that was going on, we still like kept it.
I love that. Doesn't that just show you the strength and the love in the District of Florida? And Sister Kat mentioned you hosted families. They're supposed to be like, I mean, other people, if you're looking in, you're like, there's a storm coming. But you took in other brethren, other families, and still are prepared, looking forward to something good, because doesn't this demonstrate? I mean, I feel it all over. I feel the love. And these are our youth members. These are our youth members, right? Still standing strong and putting the, absolute trust in God that, despite the fact that this storm is coming, there's something greater and stronger than the storm, because our mighty God, and we're going to still have this. And what a beautiful thing. This is really
Yeah, sister, Sister Joy, I think it's important to mention that many of us who've been here, I've been a Florida resident now for 10 years, starting coming next year, actually. So after 10 years, you'd imagine that you've developed a certain resilience when it comes to managing these storms. And I can tell you that with every storm that comes through, you may get used to knowing that they're coming, but the unknown is really what's really made it so difficult for a lot of people. When you see people who just recently moved here to Florida, in fact, so many of them are just terrified about these storms. And even though these storms do come fairly frequently for Floridians, and we are prepared, we have storm shutters, we put our homes maybe in areas that don't necessarily flood, there's still that issue of concern because of the unknown, and we still have to take these storms seriously. Most importantly, the aftermath, and everything that you're seeing back here today is an example. This demonstrates why you have to still take these storms very seriously, no matter how prepared you are. So I'd like to ask, though, because for some of you, Sister Kat just mentioned, we didn't have to evacuate. We live, fortunately, in an elevated area, so that wasn't as a concern for us. Others, however, weren't so fortunate. I'd like to maybe ask Sister Cass. I know that your family did have to evacuate as a result of the storm because of your location here in Florida. We have evacuation zones. And can you tell us a little bit about that experience? At what point did you make that decision to evacuate? And, what were some of the things you witnessed as you were on the road trying to get out of the city?
Yes, so we are in a mandatory evacuation zone. We are relatively close to the Gulf of Mexico, and the western side of the state of Florida, and because of our elevation also. So we were mandatory evacuation, but that didn't come until, because we're zone C. They announced zone A and B as early as Sunday for mandatory evacuation, and it wasn't until around 6 p.m. on Monday evening that they also included zone C. And there were some difficulties with this, not gonna lie, because we were a zone that was informed kind of later. By that time, there were a lot of hotels that were already booked. And then when you factor in that Hurricane Helene had happened not even 10 days prior to, and you still have citizens who are taking shelter in hotels because of displacement from Hurricane Helene, it's kind of a mess. And so we knew we had to evacuate. We didn't know exactly where we were going to go. It wasn't until the night before the hurricane hit that we finally got a hotel towards the Kissimmee area. But at first, it was not really sure where we were going to evacuate. But, there were a lot of different things happening at the same time. When we were leaving, there were no gas anywhere. So thankfully, we had known already to put gas in the car prior to anything. Um, and so when we were leaving, there was no gas. Everything was already closed because we left Wednesday morning, because the hurricane was expected to hit Wednesday evening. And, this was actually one of the largest evacuations in the history of Florida. Um, and you can really see it. There were, where there's traditionally 3 or 4 lanes, they even opened up the emergency use lane. So on the left side only, one side was to have emergency vehicles, and then the other side they allowed people to drive on. And this was because there was they needed to get people out faster. And I'm not sure if we're showing the video, but I did send in a clip of us using that emergency.
Yes. I
I
saw that, Sister Cass, and one of the things that I heard as a consistent story, similar to what you're describing, is that you've got all of these people evacuating. So on the freeway, it's almost eerie to see that one side of that freeway, which is the side of the freeway heading into the city, heading into the beach communities, completely empty, like a ghost town. And then coming the other direction, which is of course all the evacuees, is just completely log jammed with traffic. And the emergency use lane video that you sent me was just a frightening reminder that when you're in a rush to get out, you're going to use almost any means possible to be able to do that. Fortunately, the state is accustomed to it, so they know what it is to do. And we're very grateful that you guys were able to find a hotel, place to stay, and be safe and sheltered during the storm. Even though you were in Orlando, I know Orlando still felt the effects, right, Sister Joy?
We sure did. The winds, the rains, and that even though Orlando is inland, we get that rain, and then flooding is also a serious concern here because even though the elevations are not even, I know that Florida is known for like, okay, it's kind of flat, but we are on a sandbar here, and we have to take that flooding and the aftermath very seriously. I have a question for you, Sister Cass. So typically, the commute, right, from the Tampa area to Orlando does take some time. So you described the commute, but how long did that take you? From the time that you had to leave your area to come up just to the Kissimmee area alone, how long did that take you?
We do not know. uh, you have to factor in that my mom also needed to stop to use the bathroom twice in that time span. So, if you have to use the bathroom twice, it probably took quite some time, right?
I was going to say it's a relatively short trip to Orlando on a regular day. Where if you're gauging it based on bathroom stops, it's usually a non-bathroom stop trip for me. But I can imagine that must have been a pretty extended period of time if you guys actually had to make a stop. So
yes, because it's getting back on the highway, right?
Yes, but then also factor in like the rain that you have to the rain and the wind, so you can't go at normal speed either.
Exactly. Yeah, because obviously the rain began to fall, the winds, the hurricane force winds. Now, even though in this area we didn't experience the 120-mile-an-hour winds that these folks along the coastal communities experienced, you're still talking about driving in blinding rain with 60-plus-mile-an-hour winds. That's no fun for anybody. I did want to ask a few questions, though, a couple of our students. So, obviously there's a concern about after the storm subsides, everyone is out assessing the damage. They're all looking to see what the damage was for their area, the damage in their community, and, people are so concerned about all of their material things. Yet, the students here, and we're literally talking a couple of days after the storm, when concerns around the lack of gasoline being available and being able to travel all the way to Orlando, they still made that effort to make the trip. And I want to start with Brother Tristan, and ask, why did you feel that even though you were still dealing with all of this concern around any damage that may have happened to your home and being able to travel to Orlando, whether or not you're going to even find gas, why did you feel that it was important for you to be able to travel there?
Right. Yeah, like as you mentioned, finding gas was a large concern, especially everyone, when they hear about a storm, they start panic buying and stuff just to prepare for the worst. But I think it was really important to still make an effort to go to this activity, just like with any activity, because it was an opportunity to see our fellow brethren, and especially considering the circumstance right after the storm. It was a great way to just make sure that everyone was okay with what they were doing, and at the same time, kind of celebrate that, hey, we went through this storm together, and for the most part, everyone is safe and nobody got hurt. So it was a great opportunity just to see each other and kind of celebrate. And what's more is it was a beautiful day. Sister Kat can probably and Sister Kat can attest to that. So it was really nice to just see everyone, especially considering everything that we just went through together.
Well said. Well said. That is just, and I love how you said it was a beautiful day, and that is just proof in the pudding, right? I mean, how those devotional prayers, our trust, how everything just came together. And like Sister Cass, you mentioned how others met, there were new people that met new faces, right? And it was just a way to start conversations and things like that. Sister Kat, tell us too a little bit of your perspective coming in through all that, driving through all that, and you had other families with you, right, in your home, as you're transitioning to prepare for this activity. Tell us also, what were some of the challenges that you came across, or what are some of the things that you experienced on your way?
I can't really think of any like challenges that we were like facing with throughout the thing, because thankfully when we were driving to Orlando the roads were clear. I did go like pretty early in the morning to Orlando, so it wasn't too bad at all, and thankfully the traffic wasn't bad either, because usually Orlando traffic from Tampa can be
Oh,
really
yes.
bad. So thankfully, like, I think honestly the prayers worked to the point where like the roads were clear, and even like all the debris and everything was pushed to the side. So thankfully that was okay. And of course, since the weather was beautiful, we didn't have to worry about the rain and everything. And Atacast was the one who drove, so Atacast kept me safe. So that's why I don't have any like challenges about driving or anything like that, because I wasn't the one driving. But with the planning and everything, like I said before, like we were still able to get everything done. Like we were still able to meet right before the activity just to talk about like our assignments and just to have all the materials. We check up on each other, making sure we were okay. And then after like we made sure we were okay, we were able to like get all the things that we needed for the activity. I guess one of the challenges I can recall now is when we were trying to get the supplies for some of the booths, they didn't come in on time because like Amazon, the shipping, it wasn't working out. So we had to go to like the stores to buy the materials instead, which was okay.
How was that? Like when you go to the stores, can you describe, I mean, for those who do not live in the District of Florida, like Brother Tristan mentioned, right? That like people are panic buying. So what does that mean? Like when you went into a store, what did the store look like?
It was very bare. Like all the shelves were empty, and that's also because like all the shipping trucks, like they didn't come in. So it just felt like a little bit like a ghost town kind of type like scene. So but it was still like nice. Like we were able to get the stuff that we needed, but like essential stuff like food, water and stuff, that's what was like not on the shelf.
Great.
Wow.
Sister Joy, I hate to cut in, but we
Sure.
only have just a few minutes. We actually have our district minister, Brother Lowell Newcomb, here with us, who is here, of course, overseeing and leading this activity here in Treasure Island, Florida. I'd like to bring him on just to give some greetings to everyone there and kind of talk a little bit about what it is that we're doing here today. Brother Lowell?
Hello.
So he won't be able to hear you, but I'll be speaking on his behalf for you.
Hello, we
Our
hope everyone
greetings
is
and love.
doing well and safe. Thank you, INCRadio, for always putting on some great programming and showcasing what we do here in the District of Florida, showcasing what we do to edify one another, share our faith, and also to help our fellow man. We want to thank all of our brethren who have supported our activity that we're holding today, our Care for Humanity, to aid our fellow man post two hurricanes, post Hurricane Helene and post Hurricane Milton. And we especially want to thank our dear Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo Manalo, who leads us in following God's teachings, following God's commands, doing his work, which includes extending the help that we can to those who are in need. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you so much to our dear beloved Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo Manalo. We love you, Paul, and we're so blessed. We're so blessed to have all of you helping us to fulfill God's word.
Thank you, Brother Lowell.
Thank
you so much, Paul. Okay, Sister Joy, I'm going to toss it back over to you so we can go ahead and wrap up. And then, the efforts are continuing here. This is an incredible, incredible activity. As Sister Joy loves to say, this is incredible with a capital INC, right? So that's what this is. It's incredible with a capital INC.
Love it. Yes, look at that. Everyone coming together. And I'm looking at that huge pile of debris behind you, Brother Robert. I mean, that's pretty massive.
I'll try to see if I can get you guys an even better view of it. It's just, and this is just a small portion of what it is that is around this community. I'm sure that some of you on social media may have seen that the stadium here, the Tropicana Field, was destroyed. The roof was blown off, and all of this mountain. This is literally a mountain of debris that's standing behind me here. That's a result of all of the flooding that occurred here. But as you continue, Sister Joy, I'm just going to go over here to show you a little bit about what we've got staged. So go ahead and continue with some of the questions.
Absolutely. Actually, we've been talking about how an activity like how the INC, Unity Camp has brought us together during times like this. But we also have some upcoming activities, and I want to toss it over to Sister Cass that we're also looking forward to. I mean, can you imagine how the intensity of how this has strengthened our district during times like this? We have some more activities that are going to better build that bond and strengthen us. So Sister Cass, tell us a little bit of these upcoming activities that we can look forward to.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So we do have our 51st anniversary special gathering for the Kadiwa and the Binhis in the District of Florida. This will be taking place tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Yes, 5 p.m. Central Time. We will have everyone gather in Orlando, but there will be a WebEx connection in the Pensacola region at the local congregation of Pensacola. And then stay after the special gathering because we will be having a little program. There will be food, there will be musical performances, there will be some games, and we're just trying to celebrate with all of our wonderful Kadiwa and Binhi in the District of Florida. We're looking forward to that activity. So again, 6 p.m. tomorrow will be our special gathering, followed by a program. And then for those who are Kadiwa, we have 2 registrations that are open in everyone's locale. So you can register now, register today or tomorrow, whenever you're going to be in the place of worship, because we have our Kadiwa formal that will take place November 10th. So there's only a couple weeks away, November 10th. It will be in Clearwater. It will be at 5 p.m. Registration is open. Please register before November 1st. And then November 24th, we also have our This is Kadiwa activity. This will take place in St. Petersburg, local congregation of St. Petersburg, and this will take place at 6 p.m. And it will be a really great activity. The booklet organization will also be having their special gathering for all married men. Ate Joy, do you have the further details on that? I think it's December 2nd.
Yes, December 2nd, we'll be having our special gathering, and always looking forward to that. And as you can see, you guys, this is the fastest, as Brother Robert said, we are the fastest 30 minutes because we are down to the last minute. And you see how these activities united together. It didn't stop us. We put our place in our Almighty God through those devotional prayers. We unite together. It's always such a delight to have all of you on. Brother Robert, can you tell us a little bit before we have to go?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what we've got here, as you can see, we've got everything fully staged. We've got care packages that are ready to be distributed to the community of this area here in Treasure Island, Florida, a community devastated both by Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. The members of the Church of Christ, as a part of the Care for Humanity program, are here today to meet those needs and to help, of course, uplift the spirits of the members of this community who they so desperately need it right now, especially with everything that they're going through. But as Sister Joy says, we are the fastest 30 minutes on radio. We want to thank everybody who joined us today on the show, joined us in the chat. We love hearing from you and continuing to engage. And we want you to please stay tuned, because coming up next is going to be INC Radio South Central States, or Central States, I think. It's not South Central States. Central States, so this way you can join a lot. Yeah, I know. There's just so many studios. But we appreciate you joining us on the show today. We want to thank, of course, Brother Tristan, Sister Kat. Sorry I had to wake you up this morning. Sister Cassandra for joining us again from the District Kadiwa, and of course Sister Joy and Sister Cherise, my fellow co-hosts here on INC Radio Florida. For now, this is Brother Robert Tapalas here today at Treasure Island, Florida for INC Radio Florida. See you next week.
This is INC Radio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ.